What if I told you that the same legendary off-grid freedom states in America, the states people once ran toward with stars in their eyes and backpacks full of survival dreams, are now the very places people are running away from, and not casually. I'm talking carrying your solar panels like they're suitcases at an airport. Level of escape. And before we unpack this wild, slightly tragic, slightly hilarious exodus, go ahead and hit like, because freedom might be under attack. But thankfully, your thumb is still free. And smash that subscribe button too, because I'm about to reveal which states still keep the off-grid dream alive, full power, battery at 100%, and which states have become the graveyards where off-grid dreams go to quietly, painfully die. And tell me this, have you felt the shift? In those old silent valleys, something changed. Permits began to creep in like poison ivy, inspectors multiplied like forest squirrels on energy drinks, and zoning rules, now written by people who apparently believe that a composting toilet is a weapon of mass destruction. Once upon a time, your remote cabin had only 3 neighbors: the wind, the birds, and the echo of your own peace. Today, those same remote spots are filling up with ex-city folks, people who escaped the urban jungle but somehow brought their HOA mentality with them. Off-grid life used to be simple. A tiny cabin, a few goats, some sunshine, and a government blissfully unaware that you existed. But over the last 5 years, everything changed. So much that veteran off-gridders, the tough ones who built their cabins with their own hands, are selling their homesteads, packing their trucks, and saying things like, "I didn't leave the city just to fill out more paperwork." Today we're diving into the 9 U.S. states, where off-grid communities are quietly yet massively heading for the exits, not because the lifestyle failed them, but because the states did. Number 9, Colorado, the land of freedom, turned into the land of permits. There was a time when Colorado was the sacred homeland of off-grid freedom, a place where you could buy a cheap patch of sagebrush, throw together a cabin that looked like it was built during a raccoon's midlife crisis, and proudly declare yourself free. But now, Colorado has pulled such a dramatic U-turn that longtime off-gridders sit on their porches staring at the mountains whispering, "Remember when life used to be simple?" Because today in Colorado, everything requires paperwork. Building codes, septic rules, fire mitigation plans. They're multiplying faster than prairie dogs after a wet spring. And the inspectors? They no longer wait for you to call them. They roam the countryside like Bigfoot hunters. Except this time your cabin is Bigfoot. Every board, every beam, every inch of your roof needs a professional drawing, an engineered diagram, and probably a spiritual blessing for good measure. Even your composting toilet, once the proud symbol of self-reliance, now practically needs an emotional support certification and a signed affidavit saying it won't hurt the environment's feelings. People aren't leaving Colorado because the land got harder. The mountains are still gorgeous. The sunsets still look painted by the gods. They're leaving because freedom got harder, because the lifestyle didn't change, the rules did. And suddenly off-grid living started to feel less like freedom and more like a full-time job in the Department of Overregulation. Number 8, California Beauty Prison Permit Kingdom. California used to be the ultimate off-grid dreamland. Redwoods towering overhead, pristine beaches, rugged mountains, endless privacy. A paradise where you could live like a modern-day pioneer with Wi-Fi. But then, reality hit like a wildfire. Land prices didn't just rise, they rocketed straight into orbit. A scrappy little hillside, no water, no road access. A mountain lion casually judging your life choices? That'll cost you $380,000 before you even think about putting a shovel in the dirt. And the permits? Oh, the permits. You need one for breathing near your compost pile. Solar panels? Permit. A tiny shed? Permit. Even a sneeze that might disturb the local fauna? 7 permits, plus a Zoom call with a man named Brent who keeps saying things like biodegradable violation. Water is its own nightmare. Want to collect morning dew for your garden? Better hire a lawyer. Dig a well without permission? Congratulations, you've officially summoned the water police, who appear out of the mist like environmental elves armed with clipboards. Off-griders aren't leaving California because they stopped loving the wilderness. They're leaving because their bank accounts hit the, red zone long before. Their solar batteries did. Everything that once felt like freedom, space, sun, nature now comes with an invoice, a permit, and a warning letter. California broke the hearts of off-gridders, not by being ugly, but by being incredibly expensive bureaucracy dressed up as paradise. Number 7, Arizona. Endless sun, missing water. Arizona's reputation? Cheap land, endless sunshine. Freedom as far as the eye can see. A desert paradise where off-gridders once dreamed of. Building tiny kingdoms powered entirely by solar panels and grit. But here's the harsh reality. The water left Arizona a long time ago. Groundwater regulations have tightened, usage rules rewritten, and the desert itself seems to be whispering, "We are not an all-you-can-drink soda fountain." And if that wasn't enough, counties started cracking down on full-time RV living, long-term boondocking, and temporary off-grid setups. Suddenly, your peaceful morning sunrise could be interrupted by surprise inspections, or an official appearing out of nowhere like some desert wizard with a clipboard. Then there's the heat. Oh, the heat. The kind that melts not just your dreams, but your truck's plans, your solar ambitions, and maybe a little bit of your sanity. Off-gridders aren't just leaving Arizona, they're sprinting, as if someone just posted a free shade sign in the middle of the desert and they're first in line. The land is beautiful. The sun is relentless. Freedom? Still there. But survival just became a full-time job. Number 6. New Mexico. The desert of solitude, now overcrowded. New Mexico used to be the ultimate sanctuary for off-gridders. Wide open mesas, endless skies that made your problems feel tiny, and not a soul for miles to judge your solar panels or your slightly crooked adobe cabin. It was the place you went when you craved freedom, sunshine, and the bliss of absolute solitude. But then, the dream got crowded. Earthships popped up everywhere. School buses converted into funky homes. Dome houses started appearing like mushrooms after a rain. And a new generation of off-grid influencers came streaming in, Instagram cameras in hand. The result? The counties woke up. Suddenly, everything that once went unchecked, septic systems, gray water usage, even the angles of your adobe roof, was under strict scrutiny. Windstorm regulations tightened, fire codes enforced. Every patch of desert felt like it had invisible eyes, and the solitude gone. Instead of silence, your mornings might be interrupted by a drum circle at 3 a.m., a spiritual retreat that forgot it was supposed to retreat, or a kombucha stall selling fermented hipster dreams out of a converted goat shed. The truth is, freedom is amazing. Just not when it comes with 100 new neighbors, all trying to live their version of it. New Mexico didn't change, the population did. And too many people chasing the dream of off-grid life turned the desert into, well, a slightly dustier, slightly more chaotic version of the city they left behind. Number 5, Hawaii, paradise. With paperwork. Hawaii used to be the ultimate off-grid fantasy, a place where everything felt organic, natural, and effortless. Even your problems seemed to drift away with the ocean breeze. Falling fruit, tropical rain, wild chickens providing a free 4 a.m. alarm service. It was the dream for anyone wanting to disappear into sunlight, rainwater, and self-reliance. But in the last few years, Hawaii quietly transformed. Those jungle cabins, now treated like downtown commercial buildings. Want to collect rainwater? Rule. Use a composting toilet? Rule. Build a tiny home? Congratulations, 5. Separate government departments suddenly want a meeting with you, in triplicate, to review your plans. Land prices skyrocketed. Everything you need, construction materials, tools, even shipping, cost double or triple. And that's before you factor in the invisible paradise tax. The subtle emotional toll of paying island prices just for daring to live your dream. Off-gridders didn't leave Hawaii because they fell out of love with the islands. They left because freedom now required a ledger, a binder, and a very, very deep wallet. When they packed up their flip-flops and said goodbye, many admitted. Number 4. Washington. Rain, paperwork, and more rain. Mountains, endless forests, flannel shirts. Washington used to be pure off-grid poetry, a place where you could tuck a tiny cabin between 2 towering evergreens, disappear into the mist, and pretend the rest of the world didn't exist. But today, the rain doesn't just fall, it stays, turning weeks into months of soggy socks and endless drizzle. And if you're not careful, mold doesn't just grow, it evolves. Solar panels? Forget about producing enough juice to run more than a single sad flashlight. And the inspectors? They appear out of the woods like mythical creatures, as if the trees themselves gave birth to a legion of clipboard-wielding bureaucrats. Want to dig a gray water trench? Once a simple, practical task. Now it feels like a science fair project with soil studies, diagrams, and possibly a ritual to appease the groundwater spirits. Washington is still breathtaking, cinematic, magical, but living off-grid here now feels like trying to survive in a rainforest escape room, with nature as your puzzle master and the county inspector as the overly strict game warden. Off-gridders are packing up soggy dreams, moving on, hoping the next state will treat them a little kinder. Number 3, Oregon, the hall monitor state. Oregon used to be the ultimate off-grid dream. Mossy forests, serene rivers, deer that looked like they were doing yoga on weekends, and a gentle, magical vibe that made you feel like you could disappear into the wilderness forever. But now, Oregon has turned into the strictest hall monitor in the off-grid school of life. It's the one who writes you up for walking with intention, inspecting every step, every structure, every plan as if it's a potential rule violation. Want to build a tiny cabin? Sure, but only if it passes full residential code. Thinking about a yurt? Temporary use only. RVs, limited. Freedom, rarely granted without paperwork, permits, and maybe a counseling session for your composting toilet. Even though the forests are still magical and the rivers still whisper serenity, off-gridders now joke, there's all the inspiration in the world here. But actually building a home feels illegal. Oregon hasn't lost its beauty. It's just that living off-grid now requires navigating an army of rules that make the dream feel like a bureaucratic obstacle course instead of a peaceful escape. Number 2, Montana, stunning beauty, and winter's wrath. Montana used to be the ultimate off-grid frontier. Wide open skies, endless space, and enough room to build 5 cabins, 3 barns, and a meditation hut where no one could hear you scream about property taxes. But then reality hit hard. Land prices didn't just rise. They skyrocketed, making a plot that once cost the price of a used chainsaw now feel like you need to sell in Oregon and name your firstborn. Buffered Big Sky the 3. And the winters? Oh, the winters. They don't just bite, they freeze your soul. Solar panels produce about 0.01 watts. Snowdrifts casually creep into your cabin, asking politely if you have any snacks. Every year, hopeful off-gridders arrive with dreams of rugged simplicity. And every February, a portion of them quietly flee. Pale, traumatized, whispering, I never imagined snow could grow. Montana is still breathtaking, cinematic, and wild, but between soaring land prices and winters that actively bully your existence, many realize that off-grid freedom can come at the cost of frozen toes and broken spirit. Number 1, Alaska, the final frontier, the ultimate reality check. It's the place every off-grider secretly dreams about, a land of untouched wilderness, towering mountains, endless forests, and the kind of solitude that city folk fantasize about on their morning commute. But here's the catch. Alaska does not care about your dreams. The cold is relentless. Logistics are brutal. Everything, fuel, groceries, shipping, even a single pipe is absurdly expensive. And the remoteness? Let's just say that running to the nearest store is more like planning a small military campaign than a quick errand. Yes, freedom exists here, but it comes with a side of survival mode, level 99. Solar panels barely work when the sun barely rises for half the year. Compost toilets freeze into sculptures of ice. Bears wander through your yard like they own the place. Because they do. Even the toughest off-gridders, the ones who could survive a zombie apocalypse, armed with only a pocket knife and sheer stubbornness, look at Alaska and say, yeah, I like freedom, but I also like having toes. Alaska joins the list not because it isn't incredible, but because even freedom has limits when the thermometer yells. So now you know, Colorado isn't just mountains and sunsets anymore, it's mountains of paperwork. California isn't just redwoods and beaches. It's red tape disguised as paradise. Arizona still has sun, but water is the true luxury. New Mexico went from serene desert to overcrowded experiment. Hawaii, paradise, with a side of bureaucracy. Washington's rain isn't the only thing that's relentless. So are the inspectors. Oregon, hall monitor state of off-grid living. Montana will freeze your dreams before it freezes your pipes. And Alaska, well, even freedom has its limits when nature goes full boss-level survival mode. But here's the thing. This isn't the death of off-grid life. Far from it. Off-grid living isn't about the zip code. It's not about a map, a plot of land, or a permit. It's a principle, a way of life. Living simply. Taking care of yourself. Breathing freely without a corporation or county inspector dictating every move. These states may be changing. The rules may be tightening. The cost may be soaring. But freedom? Freedom is bigger than any permit or HOA. It's still out there. in places lighter on the rules, cheaper on the land, and blissfully unaware that anyone even exists there. So don't take this as the end of the road. Take it as a roadmap, a warning, and a challenge, because the off-grid life isn't dead. It's evolving, and the people who truly live it are always one step ahead, finding new lands, new skies, new forests where freedom still breathes. If you've ever dreamed of unplugging, disappearing, or just seeing if life can work without someone telling you how to compost your toilet, now you know what you're up against. And maybe, just maybe, the real adventure isn't surviving the wilderness. It's surviving the bureaucracy. So pack your solar panels, dust off your boots, and remember, freedom isn't a place. It's a mindset. And it's waiting for you somewhere. Out there beyond the permits, the inspectors, and the paperwork. If you want to discover where freedom still lives, the states, the pockets of land, the communities where you can still breathe, build, and live, click the next video. Because while some states are closing the door on off-grid life, others are quietly rolling out the welcome mat. And that, my friends, is where the next chapter begins.